Welcome to the Retail Tech Podcast, where we talk about the full spectrum of technologies and implementation used in omnichannel and online retail. Make sure to subscribe to our newsletter at retailtechpodcast.com, and we always look forward to your feedback. Today I'm speaking with Zoe Leavitt, a retail technology analyst at CB Insights. How are you, Zoe?
I'm good. How are you?
Great, thank you. Thanks for taking the time. I saw your discovery of the Amazon patents this week about the flying distribution center, which was very interesting. So wanted to chat a little bit more and see what you actually found, get some details on it.
Sure, absolutely. It was certainly a fascinating discovery. I came across it just in somewhat of a routine search on the CB Insights platform. We recently integrated a full US set of US patent data into our platform for clients. And throughout the course of looking into potentially the future of autonomous food delivery, I came across this patent that Amazon had filed back in 2014, I believe, and that was granted earlier this year, although it seems like it hadn't gotten much press attention so far. So this patent in particular relates to an unmanned airborne warehouse that can serve as somewhat of a mothership for drones to shuttle the goods to consumers on the ground. So this is not just a drone. This is a sort of mobile, also autonomous drone docking station that actually flies overhead at a height of about 45,000 feet. So, this is particularly interesting in looking forward to Amazon's potential moves into drone delivery, which they've already been piloting. And, a number of other consumer companies have been experimenting with drone delivery. Even 7-Eleven has delivered Slurpees and other food items by drone. There was a frozen yogurt company called Orange Leaf that did a little bit of frozen yogurt delivery sort of trials by drone. Also in the UK earlier this year, the food delivery startup Just Eat delivered a meal by ground-based drones, so a sort of a little autonomous vehicle that drove on the sidewalk. But so here we can see that Amazon's tackling one of the more interesting problems related to drone delivery that might be a little less intuitive to people. So this problem is, if you think about it's very easy to think, drones, of course, could deliver things more quickly, deliver things on demand, et cetera. But if you think about a drone in comparison to a delivery truck, a drone can only carry one or two things, maybe a few pounds of things at a time, especially in comparison to a truck, which could carry potentially hundreds of items and just go out on one route. And of course, there's companies put huge resources behind figuring out the most efficient routes for their truck deliveries. So whereas in contrast, a drone would have to deliver the one or two items and then fly all the way back to the warehouse to pick up the next couple items, fly back, etc. Actually much slower. So here, Amazon's looking at ways to distribute those home bases. So, of course, this sort of airborne flying warehouse is very buzzy and definitely attracts a lot of attention. But they've also filed a number of other patents that look at other ways to sort of provide these mobile home bases for drones to speed the product refill. So, for example, they have one patent that looks at stations for drones to go back and recharge or get repairs or pick up new items that could be installed onto lampposts or skyscrapers, or maybe integrated with cell towers, that sort of thing. They've also, or as sort of standalone mobile stations, they also have a patent related to drones landing on trucks to have the trucks help them move, potentially get repairs, that sort of thing. So, this certainly autonomous flying airship is very attention grabbing and very crazy, like something out of Star Wars or the Jetsons.
Right.
But you're right, but it's not necessarily the only way they could go about it.
It reminds me more of the type of like a War of the Worlds scenario where this
Exactly.
huge ship is coming and crashing on. So I hope that's not the
Yeah.
case, but it's like all just imagine. I mean, seriously, what
Ugh,
is the world is going to be in like 20 years or whatever, 30
right.
years? You've got all these things flying. I mean, the air is actually a good option for
Hmm.
reducing a lot of the logistic issues for delivery.
Yes.
So
Hmm.
it's a wild idea, but it can be practical. It's just that with this drone explosion, how is our sky is going not going to be the same in the future. It's not you're not going to have just a free sky with looking at clouds by themselves anymore.
Exactly. And it's of course important to remember that just because they filed this patent doesn't mean they're necessary. This is necessarily going to be real, and we're going to have little, drone Santas coming down our chimney bearing goods by next year.
Oh, you better
But
patent that one right
yeah,
away.
yeah, oh, kind of adorable.
Yeah.
Um, and it's funny on the other hand, this area looks almost steampunk or like something out of the past. Actually, we're not used to seeing blimps really anymore, which is what the illustration in this patent kind of looks like.
Right. It's going to
Yeah.
be interesting. So, I mean, it
Yeah.
brings up really, a few other bigger, questions. Is
Mhm.
the idea of delivery
Mhm.
and the drone concept. I mean, is there any question right now that this is going to be a part of the future?
I mean, I think it's part of the present. As I mentioned, some of these companies are already piloting drone delivery for goods, and companies from
Agreed.
Uber and
Yes.
yeah, and working on autonomous ground vehicles, and of course, drones. There are regulatory challenges that I'm not in a position to speculate on how on government regulations, but it definitely seems like these companies, Amazon in particular, they want to get, I have to imagine they want to be able to offer, 1 hour near instantaneous delivery to every person in America. And they're already on their way to trying to do that.
Right.
Um, and yeah, you just think we're sort of more and more moving towards expecting instant gratification for everything we order online. You can say when consumers get used to an app like Uber, that doesn't just affect our views on transportation, that affects our views on everything. Like if I can order up a car to be at my doorstep in 2 minutes from my phone, how come I can't order anything else? And certainly companies like Seamless are working on that for meals and Amazon with delivery, but also with things like these drones, Amazon and other companies may be moving more towards also including the sort of low budget daily use items that we're not really used to buying online, that we might be more used to buying in a drugstore or a corner store. To have to Amazon also deliver those. So this is similar to I don't know if you've seen, they've offered the Amazon Dash buttons.
Yes.
They came out with those right a little while ago. So it's a little bit along those same lines of just making it easier and easier for customers to be able to instantly order these small household items.
Right. Which is really the other part of this equation is that this is very limited to a specific size of products.
Sure.
So you can't deliver furniture or refrigerators or a lot of I mean even larger items. Um, so it is really, at least in the form that we see it right now, it's really
Hmm.
limited to food, uh, just basic staples, right?
Uh, quite possibly, yes. Yes, I'm not sure, as
Right.
to the specific weights the drones will be able to carry in the future.
It's the
But
weight and
definitely,
the size, I mean, you can't,
right.
yeah.
I
So
would think it would be limited. And they've Amazon has also has a few patents that I've seen to help people feel more comfortable around drones, to maybe limit the sort of natural nervousness people might feel about adapting to this technology. So they have a few patents related to noise abatement, so helping the drones be quieter, so they wouldn't be so disruptive flying throughout the neighborhood. They also have a patent on gesture control as related to drones, to help I guess, human on the ground signal by gesture that they're the one the delivery is intended for, and then the drone will drop the item down toward them. Um,
interesting.
yeah, yeah, very
There is an
interesting.
idea for another patent probably if Amazon hasn't already filed it, because it seems like they might have thousands of them that we don't even know about. So, but
Exactly
like a
right.
personalized drone, a drone that sounds like
Oh,
somebody I know or whatever.
that's true, and it just knows always to come back to you, and you can send it out. Absolutely.
So interesting. And then so I also heard, I think Alibaba or somebody in China had done like a 200-kilometer delivery or something out in the rural areas with the drone earlier this year. So I think
Oh,
present and future, it's going to definitely be something that is going to help all of us.
sure.
So
And yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned China. Actually, I used to live in China, and I know for companies like Alibaba, the infrastructure in some of those rural areas, I think, can be difficult to handle for delivery. So here's a place where drones can help economies leapfrog maybe traditional way of shipping things by truck. And if the roads aren't in good condition or something like that, they can go straight to drone. So another potential benefit.
right. I mean, I think the concept of people moving to the cities, and we have these massive populated cities just because they have to get work over there,
Mm,
or they can get specific things that they can only get to the cities, is probably going to be not as solid anymore. When you
sure.
can work from anywhere, you can have drones deliver things to you in a matter of an hour or two, even if you're in the mountains somewhere.
Sure. I mean, absolutely. Yeah, that's a very interesting point. You could say that maybe the internet was a start in letting people do knowledge work from everywhere in a distributed way, like communicate via email, etc. And now drones might be letting people do physical work, manufacturing, product shipping, that sort of thing from anywhere. So
Right.
that kind of new network.
It could be, yeah, I think it could help in that aspect. So so I mean, there are definitely a lot of positives, regulatory, and I can tell you for myself, I've seen a couple of drones, not actually on my house, but
Mm,
around in the
mm.
neighborhood, and it was like really alarming for me
Oh
because I
no.
don't know if somebody has a camera there and is coming, checking
Right.
in my backyard. So one of the things that I just recently saw is there are many companies actually working on drone avoidance or drone
Mm.
discovery for consumers, because this is a big, it's a concern for people.
Yes, yes, there are definitely some startups we've tracked at CB Insights that offer software platforms for, drone security. And then another kind of funny patent that Amazon has been granted is a drone protection system. If someone on the ground, maybe thinks they're gets a little suspicious and tries to attack the drone, Amazon's actually
Oh,
patented a way for the drone to protect itself.
wow.
So you better watch out.
Wow, this is very interesting. I better not
Yes,
say anything bad to the drone as it's flying over my
right. They're
house.
they're listening. No. Yeah. So very very
Boy.
funny.
So this is, I mean, so regulations are definitely going to have to come in. FAA and probably local and city um,
Yes.
rules are going to have to come in to balance this, this whole equation.
Hmm.
On the side of people, we need to have some sense of privacy, and
Yes.
on the other side, we don't want to disrupt. We don't want to disable convenience for all of us at the same time. So,
Right, exactly. It's a little bit maybe similar to some of the privacy issues we face just on the internet with tracking and data collection. And at what point will people say, oh, this trade off between convenience and privacy, this is tipping too far in one direction or the other? Because, of course, it's very easy to love when Amazon or Netflix or Google is able to put up such personalized suggestions for us for things to buy or places to go. But then at the same time, they're making those suggestions based on all the masses of data that they've collected on you.
right,
And I think maybe people we're all probably willing to put up with a lot more than we might think we are in terms of the data versus convenience trade off. But hopefully, right. I'm sure this will be a fairly intense regulatory challenge on both sides for the government to figure out, and then for companies to adapt and allow people to still have their personal space and privacy and then that sort of thing.
right. And I mean, it's not unlike self-driving cars.
Hmm.
It is something that's going to be a part of our lives. We just need to figure out how, and regulations and all the different things that come in as far as safety of people. That's going to have to be worked out.
Right.
I mean, I also just thought about something else is, like if you have drones that are doing delivery for me, could somebody actually send me a, a not like a spam drone to deliver
Ah.
something that it's like, how do I know this drone is really from Amazon and what was delivered to me is really from whoever I'd ordered it from?
Oh, that's a good point. Right.
So,
I think they might, in that sense, they might be able to do some things with, for example, I've seen some of the startups. I think, let's see. Yeah, where when you place the order, it sends you a private code on your smartphone, and then when the drone arrives, you have to type in that private code to the drone in order to open the drone and get your delivery. So that prevents mistaken deliveries and also maybe someone else stealing your product. So that's one way that startups are starting to think about that, but it's definitely a good question, and certainly, accidents and malfunctions and that sort of thing are always a fear, as they are for self-driving cars.
right. So the other question is, the concept of Amazon. What do you think is going to really be is there an end? I mean, it's like every day we hear of something that is Amazon is doing, and there are definitely two sides to the picture. We all, I mean, everybody I know is an Amazon Prime
Mm,
member, but then
hmm.
at the same time, we see the impact on local retail. And
Right.
that's like a big question because I definitely don't want to not have local retailers anymore.
Of course.
So how is this going to play out? I know that's a $1 billion question.
Yeah,
So yeah,
right,
give me
exactly. Um, I mean, Amazon's ambitions seem very, very wide ranging. While we're spending all this time talking just about their drone delivery plans, Amazon, they also opened the Amazon Go store, which I think you've covered on your show previously, and are
yes,
branching into brick and mortar retail there. I think they have, or it had been rumored at least that they had plans to open up potentially over 2,000 grocery stores throughout the US, which is such a big change, both in terms of product, focusing now on food, and also, of course, brick and mortar versus their traditional internet based. So,
And even bookstores, I mean, they
Oh, of
started with
course.
bookstores, so.
Right. I mean, so one way to look at it is that things might be getting more difficult for the middlemen. So Amazon is starting to make its own private label products, including in clothes, which people, often thought, no one will want to buy clothes from Amazon, but they're already one of the largest clothing retailers in America online. So, yeah, so while Amazon is starting to make their own private label goods, of course, their main focus is on selling goods, and that's going to hurt more. The Macy's, the Nordstroms, the department stores that are not selling their own products, but that are selling other brands, because those brands can go then sell through Amazon or sell through another channel. So for these brick and mortar retailers that are department stores, multi-brand stores that don't have their own in-house goods that they're selling, uh, things are certainly might get a lot more difficult.
So when a brand sells on Amazon, and I did have a good discussion with Will Chernland recently on that.
Mm.
It's I mean, we all know that in retail or any kind of at least consumer facing product company, that relationship with the customer is the holy grail, right? If you have a direct relationship with the customer, you can monetize that, optimize it as much as possible, assuming you know what you're doing and you treat them well. But when you're selling through Amazon, you don't have that relationship. You're basically giving that away to Amazon, right? So Amazon can sell that customer anything they want. Today they'll sell them your product, tomorrow they'll sell them somebody else's product. So how do you manage that loyalty and the relationship with the customer if you are doing that? And if you're only selling through Amazon?
That's absolutely a challenge as well. And you see there are certainly some luxury brands that refuse to sell through Amazon, and Amazon's although the more market share that Amazon gains, which of course is already massive online and may become increasingly large in the physical retail sector as well, it's going to be more and more of a challenge for these brands to do that. You might hope if brands can work on collecting more and more data through their customers, maybe, through different tracking methods, or, just really building personally engaging brands that will keep customers coming back. I think that will be very significant. We're seeing a lot of subscription startups, for example, like look at Dollar Shave Club that was acquired for $1 billion, that was on a subscription model. There's also things like Harry's Razors, etc. That's one way some startups are looking to keep the customers engaged time after time.
Right. I mean, if that relationship with the customer is worth a lot more than one sale.
Right,
So
exactly.
that's the biggest question I think for anybody going to Amazon is not necessarily to not try it, but how do you work that into your entire ecosystem? And I mean, some companies
Mhm.
are perfectly fine with just selling on Amazon and being totally in that, outsourcing the customer side to Amazon.
Right.
So
I mean, on
yeah.
the other hand, for some smaller brands, Amazon provides this full plug and play type solution where they can all of a sudden have access to a much larger audience than they might have otherwise just by listing their goods on Amazon. So it's a give and take, of course.
Right, right. So when I see Amazon going and opening up local stores, that tells me two things, or it raises two questions for me. One is that there is an opportunity there, definitely,
Mhm.
and two, Amazon is finding it hard to grow only online or grow as fast only on being online. Is that a valid question?
I certainly can't speak to their internal metrics as to online growth. But I think, of course, there are massive branding benefits that come with opening up physical stores that someone might see out their car window every day on their commute to work. That's, might be much more sticky of marketing than something online. Also for items, as we were talking about a little earlier, that might be more low budget that you don't necessarily think about in advance that you need, but, oh, I'm driving by the grocery store. I think we do need more soap. I'll just stop in right now and grab some. For things like that, could be helpful. And then also the local stores actually do support their online business, both by, as I just mentioned, keeping them as a brand more constantly in people's minds, but also they can serve as distribution centers for online orders. So, you see this in some retailers that are using ship from store methodology. So instead of having separate supply chains for their stores and then separate warehouses that just store goods for e-commerce, and all online orders get shipped from the same place. In this way, if I'm living in Manhattan, and or maybe someplace, maybe not Manhattan, maybe someplace a little more remote, and the biggest Amazon warehouse would be take 4 days to ship to me, but then they have a corner store that sells groceries and home items within 2-day shipment or 1-day shipment of me. They could, if I order soap online, the store itself could just ship that soap directly to me. Right. And therefore the shipping would be faster, especially if Amazon is getting into fresh produce or things that are perishable. That speed is very important, and to make sure the customer is always getting the freshest items. So it would be very beneficial to have this more distributed network of corner stores that they could ship the fresh produce to the consumer's home more quickly. And then, this brings us back to our initial conversation about drones, about these flying warehouses. You could say, you look at these flying warehouses are just bringing that product storage unit closer to the consumer. So be that in blimp form or in corner grocery store form, or maybe other formats. It's all this. It's the same idea of increasing that same day delivery radius and just getting the goods to the consumers faster.
This is a really fascinating time that we live in. It's
right.
I credit and I respect Jeff Bezos and Amazon so much for pushing the boundaries, pushing of what we all thought would be possible and could be possible. A lot of people would just have been happy making sales on their e-commerce store and just keep focusing on getting new products. He is pushing the whole world in new ways that we never thought of. So I really give him credit for that.
Absolutely. That's something we talk a lot about at CB Insights, is this idea of flavor innovation versus more fundamental innovation, or, product versus process. So if a company just tacks on another related product that they sell, or they're selling corn chips, now they're selling chili flavored corn chips or something like that, that's a flavor innovation or a product innovation. Whereas if you're looking at these really fundamental new business models, such as drone delivery, or for Amazon opening the corner stores, that's a real process innovation, and that's something that will help your company adapt and become future proof.
I want to close with just getting a little bit of an intro from you on what CB Insights is and some of the things that are coming up from CB Insights.
CB Insights is a data platform that collects all sorts of data on the private markets, including M&A activity, equity investments, et cetera, now patent data, and we cater to an audience of investors, corporate venture arms, et cetera, to help them plan their innovations and future-proof their company. We also have our Innovation Summit coming up soon in Santa Barbara, where we'll be talking about the industries of tomorrow and have a pretty impressive speaker list lined up. So please feel free to reach out with questions, and we look forward to staying in touch.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Zoe. It was a pleasure speaking with you.